Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of H&H. I told you I'd be back. It was a little later than I wanted to be. I'm sorry. But we're back again with Elijah Seegers from the Ball Oasis basketball podcast. I'll have their show, like always, down in the description below so you guys can check them out. They do an awesome show. Today, a staple of H&H has been off-season predictions. This is the only one we've done so far this offseason, but we're back with the cake of the conferences, the SEC standings predictions, man. This is always a fun episode when me and Jackson did it. I can imagine that it's going to be fun here this time around. The SEC is loaded, even more loaded since we last done this. Oklahoma SEC now added to the mix, or Oklahoma Texas now added to the SEC. This wow, the SEC is one of those conferences where it's like you just can't predict it right. It's just not going to happen. Like outside of probably, you're probably gonna have Texas, Bama, Georgia up near the top, but like the rest is like, you know, what's gonna happen. Nobody ever knows.
Yeah, from the upsets we see every year, like who could have predicted Vanderbilt last year? Who could have predicted what Vandy did last year? You had so many teams like right on the cusp of the playoff with South Carolina and Ole Miss and Alabama that just missed out last year that are looking to get back in this year. It's going to be a fun year in the SEC. I'm more excited for college football in general this year than I was last year. I'll go ahead and admit, and a lot of that is because of the depth of the SEC, especially at the quarterback position. I'm super stoked.
Vanderbilt winning a whopping 7 games last year surprises everybody. Now they did have that Alabama upset. That was pretty crazy. But the SEC always is loaded. The teams near the bottom are always like better than most teams in the country. That's just how it is. The conference is so deep. But changing this year, we got 16 teams to go through, no divisions. The SEC is loaded, like always. Let's jump straight into the episode. If you guys are new here, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never, ever miss when we upload every 4 months now. um, uh, Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts. Those are the audio recordings that we got here. Just follow us on everywhere. Drop 5 stars, leave us a review. Um, do whatever you got to do, man. But yeah, let's jump straight into the standings predictions. I'll have you start as your 16 team in the SEC this year.
Okay. So I know from what I've seen, the 16 team has been pretty consensus. It was the 16 team last year. My Mississippi State Bulldogs, by the way. And Tanner, you can call me a homer if you want to. The people out there can call me a homer if they want to. But Mississippi State is not my number 16 this year. They are not the team at the bottom of the conference for me. I have Kentucky. I have Kentucky at number 16. I have them going 4-8. I think Kentucky will win 3 of their non-conference games, and they'll lose to Louisville in their rivalry game. I think Kentucky will get an SEC win in there somewhere. I think they'll get one win, whether that be against maybe a Kentucky or not a Kentucky, a Tennessee or a Missouri or a Vanderbilt, or maybe they pull off an upset early in the season at home against Ole Miss. But I do think Kentucky is going to have a pretty rough season. I don't know exactly who all they brought back. Brock Vandergriff is their quarterback though again, right? And
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, I did not like a lot of what he did last year. Outside of that upset win at Ole Miss last season, which they somehow pulled off, still shocks me that they pulled off that game to this day. Yeah, I'm just not too stoked about Kentucky. They lost some key defensive players. I don't know how Mark Stoops still has his job at Kentucky at this point, and maybe after a 4-8 season he won't. I'm not high on Kentucky at all this season. I have them going 4-8 and finishing at the bottom of the SEC.
I don't hate it, man. I got them near the bottom. I won't say exactly yet, but I don't blame you, man. Kentucky's not looking great, to say the least. Kentucky doesn't look great. My 16, I have winning 3 games, and it's not in Mississippi State either.
Ooh,
It's the Arkansas Razorbacks.
wow.
Those boys. don't look good at all, man. I used to be a believer in Sam Pittman. He was a first season merchant. He hasn't done anything since that first year there where he won 9 games. Really nothing. Um, Last year they go 7-6. They bring back 8 starters. They bring in 30. The amount of people like they bring in 31 transfers this coming year. The amount of transfers that teams are getting nowadays, we all know this, but it is unbelievable. They had the number 16 transfer class in the entire country. Um, I don't know, man. I'm just not impressed with their offseason coming off a 7-win season in the SEC. They bring in guys like Omega Blake, Corey Robinson, Mike Washington in the portal. They bring in high school guys like Tavian Wallace, Kevin Otis, Reginald Vaughn. They lose guys in the draft like Landon Jackson, Isaac Tesla. It's spelled really weird. And Andrew Armstrong. They had the second to last high school recruiting class in the SEC, which which is crazy. They number 33 in the entire country. Again, the SEC is deep. Having the second to last class in your conference is still top 35. Unbelievable. Anyway, I wasn't super impressed with their offseason, but not a great high school class. Like they bring in a lot of transfers, but not too many like big hitters that'll, impact right away. I'm just not impressed with Arkansas right now. 3 games, I think so, still a little generous. Like I have them winning one SEC game against Missouri the last game of the year. Just because I was like, do they go 0-8 in conference play and go 2-10? I have no idea. I have them losing to Memphis.
Wow.
Um,
I wondered about that game.
do I think we're gonna lose to a bad SEC team at home? I don't know. Memphis doesn't lose at home. Regardless of that being a homer pick or not, it's just true. We don't lose at home. And I think Arkansas is bad. So I have them beating Alabama, A&M, Arkansas State, and Missouri the last week of the year.
So you don't think they stand a chance against Notre Dame at home?
Not at all. I mean, like Fayetteville is a tough place to play just because they hold so many people and that's a good college town. I just don't think so. I think Notre Dame is just way better. I think every team in the league is just way better than them. Sam Pittman is looking like not a very good coach. I don't think Arkansas gets it done this year, and I think Pittman's out, especially after 3-9. I think Pittman's out.
Yeah. I feel like whoever finishes at the bottom of the SEC this year, their coach is most likely on the way out, unless if it is maybe Mississippi State with Jeff Lebby in year two. That's the only and that's the only instance where I can see the coach staying. Um,
Yeah,
I'm I'm a little higher on Arkansas though, just strictly because of I like Taylor Green a lot. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I think he's a good quarterback. And I like their backfield with their running backs too. I think they have some pretty explosive running backs. But yeah, like you said, losing Landon Jackson, who was their big guy on the defensive end last season, they're gonna have to put up some points in games to stay competitive. And I don't know how well Arkansas can do that either. But I was a little high on.
I'm just not impressed. They didn't do anything like I don't know. I just didn't think they did enough in the offseason to make me believe in them.
I get it. I get it.
All right, number 15 in the SEC. Who you got?
This is where I will put my Mississippi State Bulldogs. Out of the cellar. That's all I'll say. Out of the cellar. I'll be pleased
They
with
can
that.
only go up. They can
Only
they can only
only
go
up
up.
from last season, man. Only up from last season. It was a nightmare season last season, and the schedule is once again just absolutely brutal for
It's just
Mississippi State.
always going to be.
Yeah, but at least this year they have the majority of those tougher games at home, so I think they have the possibility to pull off a pretty big upset this season. I have Mississippi State going 5-7. I think they could win 2 conference games. I think that they could beat Tennessee pretty early in the season. I have Mississippi State beating Tennessee at the end of September at home, and I think they could pull off an upset somewhere in there, like you said, against Arkansas maybe, or maybe at home in the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss. Maybe they beat Missouri. But I have Mississippi State going 5-7 this year. I think they will lose to Arizona State at home, unfortunately. That could be, a swing game early in the season. If they do win that game, they have the chance to start the season pretty well. But this is a team, they bring back a lot of players from last year, especially on the defensive end. They bring back quarterback Blake Shapen, who missed most of the year with injury. And they have a really entertaining backfield this year with returner Devon Booth and transfer Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama, who I'm really looking forward to watching. But the questions really are going to be on the defensive end again more than anything. Um, the worst defense in the SEC last year by a wide margin.
It wasn't
And
even close, bro.
it was not close at all. As a fan, I wanted to rip my eyeballs out every single game. Um, but if they can just be a fraction better than that, then I'll take it as some form of progress, and I feel like they have to be. But offensively, I expect them to be a little better. And like you said, it just can't get any worse than last year. I would be very surprised if they went back-to-back years with zero conference wins. So I think that they will get at least one, maybe two conference wins this year.
I also have Mississippi State here. They're just in a transitional period, man. Like they went through a weird thing with Mike Leach passing a few years ago, and then coming in with Zach Arnett, barely getting any time to like come in and like because he wasn't their first choice when he was hired because obviously they didn't think the spot was going to be open, you know. So it's a weird period that they're going through right now still. Um, but Levy's kind of getting his feet wet, bringing in his guys. They bring back 11 starters from last year, like you said. They bring in 34 guys in the portal, the number 18 class in the entire country. Like you said, they bring in Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama. They bring in Luke Cromanoke from FSU. They bring in Red Hibbler. They lose guys like Kevin Coleman, Mario Craver, and Bryce Pollock, but they bring in some high school guys like Tyler Lockhart, Tyshawn Willis, and Kamario Taylor. They had the third to last recruiting class in the SEC, number 28 in the country, which is not bad. They had a pretty decent offseason with just bringing in bodies um, and some good, decent players. But like you said, like I said, can't get any worse than 2-10 in the SEC. I think Jeff Levy is a really, really good football coach. His track record as an OC is unbelievable. If you look up like his statistics as an OC, scoring 70 points left, right, and center with wherever he was at, UCF, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, just he got it done wherever he was at. And I do think I don't think Blake Shapen is a very good quarterback. I'm sorry, he's just not
He's not.
great.
He's not.
Um, they don't have a great quarterback room right now. We have to see it from Cromanoke. He had barely any snaps last year. Bothwell's a beast in the backfield. I do like their running back room. Their running back room is very deep, but quarterback room's not looking great. Shapen is useless. Cromanoke, we'll have to see it from him. But if they can get some like a little bit of consistency out of quarterback play, and just rely on their run game, I think Mississippi State has a chance to do like a little bit of something in the SEC. Um, I do think they need to give Levy a little bit of time. I think they will be successful in the future if they just keep Levy. I'm a Levy guy. I trust in him. I have them going 4-8 this year, finishing 15th in the conference. I have them 1-7 in conference. I have them beating. Who have them beating?
Arkansas?
Yeah, I have them beating Arkansas.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I have Mississippi State at 15. It's just transitional period for them. They're just bringing in guys, seeing who's good and who's not, getting rid of transitional period, new coach, new staff, new everything. Um, but they double their win output from last year. For
Hey,
2-10 to 4-8, linear progression. Love to see it
baby
from
steps.
from the from the Bulldogs here. Moving on to 14.
All right. Number 14. This next group of teams are, there's not much separation between my 11 and 14. So at number 14, I think I will go Arkansas out of that group. Arkansas was in that group, and I think you convinced me that they will probably be at the bottom of that group. I have them going 5-7 as well. I think,
I think there's a clear bottom three in this conference, and I think it's those three that you've named.
yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think Arkansas could win two SEC games, but their non-conference schedule is just brutal this year with playing Notre Dame and playing a really tough game at Memphis. Like you said, Memphis does not lose at home. That's going to be a lot tougher of a game than the national people realize for Arkansas. And they play Ole Miss very early in the season. I think they play Ole Miss week 3, where their weeks 3 through 5 are Notre Dame, Ole Miss, and Memphis. That's a really tough stretch at the beginning of the season. So they're going to be thrown into the fire right away. And that could really, make or break the trajectory of their season. But I do think that Arkansas is going to take a little bit of a step back from last year. They had the big win against Tennessee at home last year. That was really their highlight of their 2024 season. I do like Taylor Green as a quarterback, like I said earlier. I think that he is a good dual threat quarterback. I don't think he's great. I think that he is a little inconsistent and makes some pretty bonehead plays at times, but I like their running back room. I think that they will be worse defensively, like I said, and I just don't think that Sam Pittman is the guy long term there. I think that he has had flashes of, good good output, but like you said, I just don't think that if they want to be a team that can realistically compete at the top of the conference, Sam Pittman's not the guy. So I feel like they have kind of been delaying the inevitable for a certain amount of time now. And I think maybe an underwhelming season this year might be the breaking point.
I think after 2023, they should have let him go. When KJ Jefferson left, Rocket Sanders left, like, you know, I think they should have, you know, let go of Sam Pittman as well.
Yeah.
At 14, I also have the Kentucky Wildcats near the bottom again. They just rough schedule. They play Louisville. They play Ole Miss week 2. They have Georgia. Um, they have Auburn this year. They have Texas, Tennessee. Like they have a rough schedule, and the team is also bad. Like the team's not good. Um, they're gonna have Zach Calzada probably playing quarterback. Like I don't know what else to tell you, buddy. You're gonna win 4 games. That's what it. That's just what's gonna happen. They bring back 7 starters. They bring in 20. Like I said, 26 transfers. This is just crazy. The top 10 transfer class in the country. Bring in some decent guys in the portal. Like I said, they brought in Calzada, Dante Dowdle at running back, Humphrey Grace on the D line. They lose some big hitters. Deion Walker to the draft. They lost Dane Key. They lost Barian Brown to LSU. They're bringing a few guys to high school. They brought Javion Campbell on the D line, Mikael Skinner at tight end, and Stone Saunders at quarterback. Number 14th class in the SEC recruiting, number 29 in the nation. They had a pretty decent transfer class, top 10 in the entire country, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Regardless, I just don't think their roster is good enough to compete in the SEC. And they also have Mark Stoops at coach. Now, I see Kentucky with, exception of some years here and there where they overperformed, like 2021 and 2018, most recently. I just think Kentucky historically has just been like the Indiana Pacers of college football, where before this year, obviously the Pacers were a game away from winning the entire thing. But before this year, the Pacers were always known for just being mid, 47 wins, 46 wins. I think that's what Kentucky is in the SEC. They're okay with being, 7 wins, 8 wins, 6 wins. That's why Mark Stoops still has a job. If Kentucky cared about their football program, Mark Stoops would have been gone a long time ago. It's the same reason why, Gus Malzahn got fired at Auburn a few years ago. They weren't like he's a good head coach. He wasn't getting over the hump. He made a couple SEC championships, but he never got over the hump. Got into the 14 playoff. Um, Auburn just had higher expectations than that. Kentucky obviously doesn't. They're okay with finishing with 4 wins, 5 wins. Like Kentucky is a great athletic school across the board. Like obviously one of the best basketball programs ever. So they have money. They have the money in their athletic program to, do the things that need to be done. They just don't care. So as long as that happens, I think Kentucky's just going to be, not in this upper echelon of teams in the SEC. Um,
Yeah.
it's my long-winded explanation of saying they're going to go 4-8. Um, but yeah, like they're going to have some decent players like Deion Walker. Um, last year, Barry Brown was a good receiver. Will Levis. Um, what was the receiver's name that's on the Giants now? I can't think of his name. Like the gadget guy. You guys know what I'm talking about. Transfer from Nebraska. I can tell you everything about him except his name. Um, played with Will Levis. Wandale
Dang,
Robinson.
Wandale Robinson.
Um, yeah, they'll have some decent NFL talent here and there, but again, they're just not going to get over the hump and be a good, like a great SEC team as long as their athletic department just doesn't care about the football program. So yeah, Kentucky bad this
Yeah,
year,
I agree.
14.
Their highlight of like the past from the Mark Stoops era really was that year where they had Benny Snell and they cracked like the top 10 for the first time in forever.
Yeah,
And they ended
2018. Like I said, they won. I think it was 9 or 10 games that year. They were pretty decent. Benny Snell. Um, I forget who the quarterback was, but he was cool. He was fun.
was Terry Wilson. It was Terry Wilson.
I think so. He was a black guy with dreads.
Hmm.
But yeah, fun team in 2018, 2021. They won about 9 games when they had Will Levis, and Rodriguez at running back. Pretty decent. Wandale Robinson too. Yeah, 4-8. I think I'm not gonna say that's their ceiling because they obviously could overperform and win 7 games like Mark Stoops special 7-5. Um, but right now, like from what I see on their roster on paper and the guys that are coming back, I just think 4 wins is fair. I just think it's fair.
I agree.
All right, 13.
13. Yeah, we exit the bottom dwellers and we get into a little bit more of a competitive field here. I'm gonna go. Let's see. I have I have Missouri slated at my number 13. And I guess I'll stick with Missouri here. Missouri's had some really good years lately with
Back to
Brady.
back 10-win seasons
Yeah, with
for the
Brady
Tigers.
Brady Cook at quarterback, had Luther Burden as your number one target. Both of those guys are gone now. You had Cody Schrader in the backfield, a really good defense the last couple of years. But I just think that they are going to be a little worse, probably a lot worse, in all honesty. It's going to be a little bit of a drop off from their 10-win seasons. I think I have Missouri going 6-6. I could very well see them going 5-7 or 7-5 as well. But I think that they'll sit around there. There's a lot of newness. There's a lot of newness to this team. A team that's been successful over the past few years and has really relied on their top guys to, produce. They still have Theo Weiss at wide receiver. I really like Theo Weiss a lot. Um, but outside of a few returning players, I'm not super high on this Missouri team this year. Who's their quarterback supposed to be? Do you know?
Bo Prabula
Yeah, see,
transfer.
that's a player that I'm not familiar with yet. So maybe he's great. Maybe he comes in and he's a really good quarterback, but I'll have to see it to believe it. I'm going to go with Missouri here at this spot.
I don't hate it. This is where I have Vanderbilt at 6-6. Vanderbilt last year 7-6, loud wins. Um, beating Alabama at home, winning their bowl game against Georgia Tech. Some loud wins from the Commodores. Clark Lee, I think, has this program going in the right direction. Um, they bring back 13 starters from last season, a productive season from a team like Vanderbilt. They bring in 20 transfers, the number 36 transfer class in the country. They bring in guys like Trent Hudson, Jordan White at guard, CJ Hurd at safety. They did lose they didn't lose a lot of key production from last season. DeRicky Wright, uh Gunnar Hansen and CJ Taylor didn't play a lot of snaps for them last year. Um they didn't have an amazing recruiting class. I said this team is so deep or this conference is so deep They did have the last recruiting class in the SEC, but it does fall at number 80 in the country. Not a great high school class. Transfer class was okay, um, but they kept a lot of core guys. I think Diego Pavia um, is coming back for another season, and
Yep.
he was a huge part of why they were so successful last season. And their tight end, Eli Stowers, is an unbelievable player. So I think their offense is going to be productive this season. I have them going 6-6, only winning two conference games um, against Auburn and Kentucky this season. At first I had them beating Tennessee
Was there no upsets this year?
in the last game of the year. I could see them maybe. They don't get Alabama at home this year. Um, they have LSU at home and Missouri. They could do better. I'm being a little cautious here, putting them at 6-6. Um, but I don't know. I could see them beating Tennessee. I don't think. I don't know. I'm not gonna say too much right now, but some wins I could see them getting are against Missouri, Tennessee. I have them beating Virginia Tech in week 2. I don't know. I think what I have right now is fair. 6-6 bowl appearance 2 years in a row. That'll get you an extension at Vanderbilt. So yeah, I just think it's fair because they have Alabama on the road, they have Texas on the road, they have Tennessee on the road, um, they have South Carolina on the road as well. Like a lot of tough games on this schedule. I just think for this team, 6 wins is fair. They didn't have the best offseason in the world, but they did keep a lot of key guys that helped them win 7 games last year. So I think 6 wins this year, maybe a bowl win. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and segue to my number 12 too. I have Vanderbilt at my number 12, 6-6 as well. I think they lose that a week 2 game at Virginia Tech. That may put a kind of a dampen on the start of their season. I think that they have another one of those upsets in them this year, though, whether that is um, Texas or LSU at home. Maybe not a game that big. I think that they could beat a Tennessee this year. That's probably the one I would go with. But I think Vanderbilt has one more of those this year, especially with all of the returning core guys, like you said. But I don't think that Vanderbilt can get much. I don't think it can get much better than it was last year for Vanderbilt. I don't think that they will have a better season than 7-6. Like you said, I think they could win a bowl game and finish 7-6 again. But I just don't think it gets much better than last season. I think they are either about the same or maybe just a tick worse. So I have them going 6-6.
Yeah, Vanderbilt only in the SEC because of their baseball team, but football not looking too bad. 6-6 back-to-back years, not too shabby. I will segue on to my number 12 as well. It's where I have Missouri. I have them at 7-5, winning 3 conference games. I think it's fair. Um, Back-to-back 10-win seasons for the Tigers under Eli Drinkwitz. Um, Program renaissance really after being you know hovering around 6-7 wins, 6-7. Uh, the past few seasons. Um, that wasn't intentional, by the way.
That was great, by the way.
uh, uh, yeah, Missouri back-to-back 10-win seasons. I think they win 7 games here. I think it's fine. They're kind of in a transitional period. They do bring back 13 starters from last season, bringing in the number 7 transfer class in the entire country. Like we said, Bo Prabula is probably going to start at quarterback for them. Ahmad Hardy is an unbelievable running back. Watch out for him, bro. He is going to be crazy this year. And Damon Wilson and the transfer portal as well on the D line. They did lose a lot, a lot. Like this is why I have them like down a little bit. Probably why you do as well. They didn't lose a ton of product or a ton of guys, but the guys that they did lose were huge, huge production pieces. Luther Burden gone, Ahmad Membu gone, Brady Cook gone. 3 best players on the team, just not there
Yeah.
anymore. That's just gonna take a hit on your program. Sorry. Top incoming recruits. Javion Hilson on the D line, Matt Zollers at quarterback, and Marquise Davis at running back. Number 12 recruiting class in the SEC, number 20 in the entire country. They had a good offseason. I loved this offseason from Missouri. They lost a ton of production um, this season. I could see them winning 8, 9 games, depending on how, Bo Perbula plays. Um, you know, I think Missouri could do well. I don't think they're going to be bad this season. 7-5, I think, is respectable in the SEC. I think it's respectable. Um,
No,
so yeah, Missouri take a little bit of a step back, but they'll get it comfortably in a bowl game this year. On to number 11.
yeah.
All right.
I I have two teams here that I'm choosing between. I have Auburn listed here, but I kind of don't want to go with Auburn anymore. I think I'm going to put Tennessee at number 11. I'm
I
going to
also have
put,
Tennessee here.
okay. Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee. Just so much turnover in such a short amount of time with the whole Nico Iamaleava situation, bringing in Joey Aguilar to play quarterback. It
Who's not
makes,
great, by the way.
yeah, I don't think that Tennessee got better this offseason than they were, especially after coming off a year where they made the college football playoff last season. I it just spells like not doom because Tennessee is a really talented team, and they have great players, they have great pieces still, but just with that whole situation, it's not great for a real leadership role like your quarterback to, be a guy who just came in the late spring and have to be plugged in and learn everything and get acclimated with the team in such a short amount of time. I don't like it for Tennessee. They have a pretty tough conference schedule this year. I think like I had them losing their first conference game at Mississippi State. If they lose that game, then they could very well be in for like a 6-6, 7-5 season. I have Tennessee going 7-5. I think that yeah, I think that they are going to have some struggles this year. They'll still make a bowl game and still be decent because they are a really talented team still, but I just have too many questions about them opposed to, the other teams who are in this category of like mid-tier SEC teams.
Yeah, Tennessee, like every team in this conference is gonna have a tough schedule, but especially with Tennessee with what they're going. Nico, I don't know, man. I think he did Tennessee a little dirty here in the offseason. He said it wasn't about money, but come on, bro. You're gonna leave in the spring
Yeah.
of like just this problem that didn't become a problem. Like that wasn't the problem all along. And you talking about you're gonna sit out the bowl like the playoff game too? You get out of here. I think Nico definitely did Tennessee dirty here. I still don't feel bad for y'all, Lamau. But I also like feel a little better that you have them as low, like with me. 'Cause I would I would have been
You would have
getting
got something for that.
getting cooked having Tennessee at 11. But I'm glad we both have. I still have them going 8-4. I think the Tennessee is going to be good with Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel has shown that he's going to put a good football team on the field. Um, this year the Tennessee's coming off a playoff appearance, they did lose a lot of guys. Like we said, Nico Iamaleava losing in the port or go leaving in the portal to UCLA. They lost Dylan Sampson, their leading rusher, James Pierce, their leading edge rusher. They did bring in guys, as we said, like Joey Aguilar from UCLA, a little swap. They brought in Star Thomas at running back, Wendell Moe Jr. on the offensive line, high school guys like David Sanders, Isaiah Campbell, and George McIntyre at quarterback, returning 10 guys from last year, only bringing in 7 transfers this year. But they did have the number 8 class in the SEC, a good high school class, and then the number 11 class in the entire country. They just got a whip of a schedule. That's just what it is. Like the team's not great. I don't believe in Joey Aguilar. Like he's fine, but he launches interceptions. If you look at his Appalachian State tape, launches interceptions. Just unbelievable. Um, I have them beating Syracuse week 1, um, losing to Georgia week 3, losing to Bama, losing to OU, losing to Florida. It's not a bad year by any means. Just
Yeah.
not what we've come. to get used to from Tennessee these past, you know, few years that Heupel has been the head coach. Um, yeah, I think they'll take a little bit of a step back. I think they will have an issue at quarterback because I don't necessarily believe in Joey Aguilar. And if he's launching picks in the Sun Belt, good gracious, he's going to have a big wake up call in the SEC here. Um, yeah, I don't think Tennessee sucks. I just think they're going to take a step back, y'all. Jeez Louise, I'm going to get cooked regardless. Tennessee at 11? Are you kidding me?
Hey, I'm right there with you. We'll get cooked together, brother.
Oh, but it's me. But it's me. When I had South Carolina ahead of Tennessee a couple years ago, I did not hear the end of it because South Carolina won like 5 games and Shane Beamer broke his foot and nobody let me hear the end of it ever. But I'm taking it, okay? I don't have you losing 8 games. I have you winning 8 games. Guys, come on. I don't care.
Standards.
Memphis is winning the Natty this year. That's all I know. On to number 10.
Yeah, I hinted at it a minute ago. Auburn's my number 10. I think Auburn, I mean, it's a make or break year for Hugh Freeze. It's a make or
It
break year
really
for,
is. It really is.
yeah. He has to have success this season. Now, how you define success at Auburn is by winning football games, but I guess it's subjective how you define success. I have Auburn beating Alabama this year. I'll go ahead and say that. I think Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. I love Auburn's offense this year, which is crazy to say that I love Auburn's offense. I feel like I've never been able to say that since like the Cam Newton era. But I
Garrett
really
Stidham.
yeah, even that team I didn't love their offense,
Yeah.
but I like bringing in Jackson Arnold to play quarterback. I think that Jackson Arnold is going to do well in that system, and I love Auburn's receivers. I absolutely love Cam Coleman. I think that he's going to be one of the best receivers in the SEC. Keandre Lambert Smith, he's still there, right?
He's gone.
Oh, he's
He got
gone.
drafted.
There's one other guy there who's there that I
Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech.
that's who it is. Um, I just think Auburn is going to have their best offensive year in many years. And I think that's going to lead to some success for them. I still think they go 7-5, which Auburn will have the decision to make after the season, what to do with Hugh Freeze after accumulating that record. But I think it's going to look a lot better than it did last season. And I think that no team in the SEC has a more important week one outside of maybe Texas and LSU than Auburn does. Going to Baylor, playing a Friday night game. I think that that game is really going to determine a lot about how their season goes. I think that if they can go into Baylor, go into Waco and win week one, I think that will be a great boost of confidence, great boost of morale for that team going forward. I'm high on Auburn this year, and I know I said I only have them going 7-5, but I like Auburn's team this year.
I also have Auburn here at 10, and I agree with pretty much everything you said. I also have them beating Alabama. Like
Ooh, okay. Like
our standings here are a little mirrored,
they'll
but
change. I guarantee you they'll change. Guaranteed.
they're a little mirrored here. But I also have Auburn beating Alabama. I have them going 8-4, 4-4 in conference. Um, I was teetering on, do they beat Georgia 2 at home? Hugh Freeze, regardless of how you feel about him, he shows up in big games.
Yeah.
Especially when Saban was the coach at Alabama. He had Saban's number. Like you could take that away from him. Auburn wins big games. Or Hugh Freeze wins big games when his team is like decent. He's gone 5-7 the past few years, but Auburn this year, I think legitimately has a good football team. I think Auburn this year has a good football team. They bring back 11 starters from last year. They bring in the number 8 transfer class in the country. Like we said, Jackson Arnold, Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech, who's a beast. Xavier Chaplin, the offensive line. They lost their all-time. I think he was their all-time leading rusher, Jarquez Hunter, Keandre Lambert Smith, Jalen McLeod at linebacker. They did bring in some good high school guys like Deuce Knight, who's not going to play this year. Uh, but Jared Smith on the D line, Blake Woodby. at corner, who I like a lot. The number 5 class in the SEC and a number 8 class in the entire country. I think Auburn had a really, really good offseason. I think it's up there in the entire conference. Um, they just got to put it together. Jackson Arnold, shaky last year, to say the least, at OU. But I think coming into a new system, you know, he's been given the keys, is what it looks like. So I think Auburn legitimately has a good team this year. Like they're not just thrown together like it seems like they have been the past couple of years. I think Auburn is just they're going to win 8 games. I'm not saying they're going to make the SEC championship, but I think they're going to be a decent team this year. 8-4, I think is respectable. Beating Alabama for Auburn is a successful year.
Yeah.
So I just think they're going to be good. 8-4. Hugh Freeze keeps his job
At least for one more year.
at least one more.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement. I think so. I think I think it's after Auburn where, at least for me, every team past Auburn, every team above Auburn is a realistic playoff contender.
You think
I
so?
think I think that's my cutoff. I think Auburn's my cutoff. Like I couldn't see Auburn contending for the playoff, but I think every team above that has a chance to.
Okay, well, who is your number 9?
At number nine, this it was really tough for me to put this team here because I really like this team. I think this is a really good team. I think they're better than last season, but their schedule, I have Florida at number nine. I have Florida this low. I think DJ Lagway is going to be great. I think DJ Lagway is going to be a really good quarterback. I think he's going to show a lot of improvement, especially throwing the ball from last season. I really like Florida's skill guys. Eugene Wilson at wide receiver, I think is really good. Florida's offensive line, I think, is one of the best in the SEC. Jake Slaughter is going to be a really high draft pick. Defensively, I think they'll be cool. But I have Florida going 8-4. I just think their schedule is brutal, man. I think they get it done in the non-conference. Like I think they beat Miami. I think they beat USF, and I think they beat Florida State. I think they sweep the state of Florida. Um, but I think in conference is just where they fall. I think they lose to Ole Miss. I think they lose to Texas. I think they lose to LSU, and I think they lose at Texas A&M too. I have Florida going 8-4. I think they'll be a fun 8-4. I think they'll be a playoff like fringe team up until like maybe the last week or two of the season. But I think they'll barely miss it, unfortunately, at 8-4.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. This is where I have Ole Miss. Um, Ole Miss lost everybody, bro. They lost everyone. Um, yeah, they did have an eventful offseason. Kiffin brought in the number 4 transfer class in the country, but they only bring back 5 starters from last year. They barely miss out on the playoffs. Um, they lost Jackson Dart, Walter Nolan, Trey Harris, losing a lot of guys from last season's team. Um, yeah, I just think Ole Miss 8-4 is not bad. I could see them being worse just because this team is completely brand new, and we don't know how Austin Simmons is going to be at quarterback. I see people saying he could be in the Heisman conversation. We just haven't seen it. I don't want to jump the gun and say anything like that yet. Uh, I don't know. Uh, Kiffin's always going to bring in a good transfer class just because that's just what he does. They bring in guys like Dazon Stribling, a receiver, Patrick Cutis on the offensive line, Prince Will on the D line. I'm not going to say his last name, but Prince Will on the D line.
Uman Mielen.
Human Mielen. Yeah, Uman Mielen. Good job, buddy. Number 9 in the SEC as far as recruiting and number 16 in the country. I think a good haul as far as the offseason goes. But they lost a lot. It's the same thing with Missouri. They lost a lot of key guys on their team. Best receiver, best quarterback, best defensive lineman. Just they lost like all of their good players on the team. I believe in Kiffin as a coach. They beat Georgia last year. Like, I don't think they're going to be bad, but I think 8-4 is like, you know, depending on like if Austin Simmons comes out and becomes this, the truth at quarterback. I just think 8-4 is what I realistically see them doing right now.
Yeah. I'll segue into my number eight. I have Ole Miss at number eight, going 8-4 as well. I think Austin Simmons is going to be really good. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. And I know the sample size is ridiculously small, but that drive that he had against Georgia, that one drive that he had against Georgia, whenever Jackson Dart went down early in that game, was enough for me to say, oh, yeah, this is a guy who is going to be able to really excel in Lane Kiffin's system. We'll see, what he can do outside of that. I think that he has a lot of talent that is yet to be tapped into. So we'll see, if he can tap into that this upcoming season. But yeah, they lost a lot of defensive production, which is where my questions are really going to come from. Like, what is the front seven going to look like for Ole Miss? How are they going to replace those guys up front, the Walter Nolans, the Princely Monmielans, guys like that? I think Sontaran Perkins is one of the best linebackers in the SEC. I really think that he's going to be the leader of that defense this year. Um, the receiver position, you lose Trey Harris, you lose Jordan Watkins, you lose Juice Wells. So you're going to have to replace a lot of receiver production. But one thing about Ole Miss is going to put up numbers regardless of who is out there. It's going to be, in the bigger games, in the bigger games, they tend to show up pretty well, but they have these trap games. Like I have Ole Miss beating South Carolina, but I have them losing the Egg Bowl. I have them losing to Mississippi State. I have them losing to Mississippi State. I have them losing to LSU, Georgia, and Oklahoma. I think Ole Miss um, will have a decent season. They'll be a little down from last season. They'll miss the playoff, but I do think Austin Simmons is going to be really good.
I could see it happening. I just, one drive, really all we have, Oh, but it's against Georgia. Yes, but it's one drive,
I'm
you
a
know.
believer. I'm a believer.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm not gonna say he's gonna suck, but I need to see it. I have them winning 8 games. I don't have them winning four, you
Yeah,
know. But like, Lane Kiffin has a very, very quarterback friendly offense, but I don't think Austin Simmons is going to be terrible because I really think he has to try really hard to be bad in Lane Kiffin's offense. But can he be a difference maker like Jackson Dart was? Jackson Dart won them games sometimes. Can, Austin Simmons be that? Is what like I'm on the fence about.
yeah,
So they're going to have a great run game. It looks like they're going to have a pretty good defense again. But is Austin Simmons the truth? We will find out. You just said you're eight.
yeah.
Okay, my eight is the Cox, the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Hmm.
Um, going 8-4. Some might say, well, they won 9 games with freshman Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers is coming back. Dylan Stewart is coming back. They can only go up. It's hard in the SEC, man. It really is. Like I just think that the 7 teams above them are just going to be better. That's really like it's sometimes the only explanation that you can give. I think Lenora Sellers has a chance to be a top 5 pick next year in the NFL draft. He's a freak. Good God, is Lenora Sellers a freak athlete, bro? Like think Anthony Richardson, think Cam Newton, bro. He is an absolute freak. Um, and I think he's really good. But we've seen him struggle a lot against some good SEC defenses. Um, but can he put it together and bring finally like they barely missed the playoffs last year? Um, can he bring them to the playoffs this year? Maybe. But I do think as South Carolina brings back a good football team, they only bring back 9 starters, but the starters that they did bring back are really good. Like I said, Dylan Stewart, Lenore Sellers, they brought back a lot of good guys. A top 15 transfer class for Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks, number 11 class in the SEC, number 18 in the nation. Pretty decent offseason, but they did lose a lot of like a decent amount of good guys like Nicky Minwari on the back end, Kyle Kennard on the defensive line and TJ Sanders on the defensive line as well. I don't know, man. Like South Carolina was one of those teams. Like eight feels a little low, but it's their schedule, man. Like their losses I have against LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and A&M. Like those teams aren't bad. Like I don't have them dropping. I have them beating Alabama.
You have them beating Clemson?
Uh, yes, again.
Wow.
Um, which is I don't know. I don't know. Some things I might switch. I don't know. Beating Alabama and Clemson in the same season is kind of
That's
crazy.
great. That's crazy.
Um, yeah. I also said 8 wins feels like a little low, but like the schedule that they got is like I don't know. I just maybe you could switch some of these. Like you could say, well, they might lose to Alabama, but beat Oklahoma. It's like whatever makes you feel better. But I think South Carolina is going to win 8 games. I think Lenore Sellers is going to be really really good. They just play a lot of good teams this year. They play LSU, they play Alabama. I think Oklahoma's going to be good. Like I said, Ole Miss is going to be decent. A&M is going to be good. They play Clemson. They play Virginia Tech in Lane Stadium week 1. Um, like it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule. Um, I think 8 wins for this team is respectable. They could win more, but yeah, they finished like I have a really. I just realized I have a really huge run of 8-4 teams
Yeah,
going here. Um, yeah, 8-4 South Carolina. They're above all these other 8-4 teams by strength of victory. I don't know. I there's a lot of changes you can make with these schedules, man. Like I could like I said I could give them a win against OU, but have them losing against Alabama. Like it's just
not even like accounting for the upsets that are like bound to happen too.
yeah yeah. 8-4 I think is fine for South Carolina. It's just based off last year, the guys they bring back their starting quarterback. They could be better, but
Yeah.
at 8-4 is where I got them.
Huh.
At
Yeah,
number 7, I'll go ahead and say number 7 because you already brought them up. I have the Florida Gators here at number 7. At 8-4, again, crazy run of 8-4 teams here, but Florida, crazy, crazy schedule, bro. Good gracious, they play. I'll go through their schedule here in case you guys aren't familiar. They play Long Island week 1, South Florida week 2, LSU week 3, Miami, Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. They avoid Alabama this year. They avoid other teams for sure, but this team has a whip of a schedule. Miami, coming off a 10-win season last year. Um, Texas makes the playoff last year. A&M was decent last year at 8 wins. LSU won 9 games last year. Tennessee was a playoff team last year. Georgia won the league last year. Um, I think Florida is going to be better this season. Um, let me get to them here. Florida, they brought back 13 guys. I think Florida's going to be good. I think they're going to be good. They won 8 games last year. A resurgence or surgence, I guess, from Billy Napier, his first pretty good year at Florida. Brings back 13 guys from last year. Didn't have a great transfer class, only bringing in 7 guys, but they did have a good high school class, number 4 class in the SEC, number 7 in the nation. They had a really, really good recruiting class. Excuse me, but they did lose a decent amount of people. They lost Jim Ray DK to the draft, Cam Jackson, Jason Marshall on the back end. Um, but I think with the return of DJ Lagway, I thought DJ Lagway was really good last year. Um, in his snaps, I think he could be really good this year. I think he has a chance, like, if Florida, over exceeds, um, beat some teams here, if they beat Georgia, maybe beat LSU, like they have a good season, make it to the playoffs. I think DJ Lagway has a chance to be in the Heisman conversation just because I think he has that skill set and I think he has that potential to be a really, really good quarterback. Um, It's just they have a really crazy schedule, man. They have a really, really crazy schedule. And I think 8-4 is like they definitely could be better. I teetered on if they would beat Georgia or not, just because I could see it like realistically. It's just not like
I have Florida beating Georgia.
it could happen. Like I think, Georgia lost some people this year. Like I think it could happen. And it's been a minute since it has happened. I think 2020 was the last year it actually happened. I think Florida has a really actual, like an actual chance to beat Georgia this year. Yeah, 8-4 I think is respectable, but I think I could see them winning 10 games this year. Like seriously, this isn't like, oh, Tanner's high on Florida all the time. I did have some crazy, pick 'em picks. I get it, but realistically, I think Florida has a real chance to win 10 games this year in the SEC. I have them winning 8, but realistically, I think it's not crazy for them to win 10 this year.
If they win 10 games somehow, like that's incredible. That is an absolutely incredible season. Yeah.
I've been a Billy Napier believer ever since they hired him. I was always saying, give him time. Give him time. He will have this team right. And they're looking good right now.
For sure. All right, my number seven. This is the team I'm probably the most skeptical about in the SEC this year. I hear all these great things about what this team has done this offseason, but I am super skeptical. And that's Oklahoma. I don't know what to think about Oklahoma because they had a terrible year last year. First year under Brent Venables. This is year two. He's already on the hot seat apparently, and I keep hearing about this John Mateer guy. I keep hearing, oh, this John Mateer guy, he's gonna be like Heisman candidate, and he's gonna be the guy who, brings Oklahoma back to like the college football playoff. Tanner, what do you think about John Mateer? I have
And
no
there's
base.
a there's a reason that you keep hearing about him. He's
You think
unbelievable.
he's legit? You think he's legit?
Yes.
Okay.
If you watch his Washington State film last year, you would you would believe me. This kid
Okay.
is unreal at quarterback. He's not the greatest thrower in the world. He's kind of in that like Jalen Hurts, like he just doesn't throw over the middle. But in college, he gets away with it, and I think John Mateer is going to have an unreal season this year. I think they're Oklahoma's backfield. I can get to them when I get to them, but Mateer is good. There's a reason you keep hearing about him.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done enough like digging to really like see for myself, and I guess we won't know for real until the season starts. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what he looks like because it's all I've heard this offseason is John Mateer is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC going into this next season. And I'm gonna have to see it to believe it for myself. But I have Oklahoma going 8-4. They're the second to last team I have going 8-4 in this group. I think they lose to Texas, Alabama, LSU, and South Carolina. So all teams that I have above them. But other than that, I think Oklahoma is going to be improved. I do think losing some of the defensive players they lost the draft maybe it raises questions about their defense for me. I still think they'll be a solid defensive team, and especially if they have the offense to accompany it this year, like they did not have last year. As bad as they were last year, they went 6-6. They were still a like decent team record wise, and they had like a nightmare of a year. They had the game that they won against Alabama where everything clicked for one
They
night.
whooped them.
Yeah, yeah.
Whooped Alabama.
Other than that game, it was a nightmare season last year for Oklahoma. So I think they can only go up from where they were last year. I still think they have a few more steps to make before they're a realistic playoff team, for me at least. But I have them going 8-4, and I think that they will be a very entertaining team this year. I will be very closely tuned in to Oklahoma in their second year in the SEC.
OU's going to be fun this year. Um, yeah, everything you said, I agree with. My number 6, right? We're on number 6.
Yes.
Keep losing track here. This is where I have A&M. A&M returns a lot of production from last season. They bring back 15 starters. They bring in a really good transfer class in the number 11 transfer class in the country. They bring in Kevin Conception from NC State, I believe. Mario Craver, a receiver, Julian Humphrey. They did lose a lot on the D line. They lost like their whole D line in Shamar Stewart, Nick Scorton, and Shamar Turner. Um, but they did get in some good high school guys. Number 6 class in the ACC, number 9 in the entire nation. The A&M had a really good offseason. Um, bring in Lamont Rogers, Jerome Miles, Adonis Curry. Now I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember who their starting quarterback is slated to be.
Is it not
Uh,
Marcel Reed?
it is. They also brought back Marcel Reed. I should have took note of that. A&M's going to be good. Now I hate that I have this big clump of teams at 8-4, but A&M really, I could like, I know just by press elimination you have them pretty high as well. A&M had a really good offseason. They kept a lot of their production from this season. I think A&M has a chance, similar to Florida, to win 10 games this year. Elko proved last year that you know, is a good coach. He wasn't a dud of a hire. I think he's a good coach, and I think with the production that they brought back, the guys they brought in, A&M at some point is going to be a playoff team. It could happen this year too. I think Marcel Reed is a good quarterback. I
Yeah,
think A&M is going to be really good this year.
yeah.
I hate that I shafted some of these teams by giving them just 8-4. I have a a run of like 7 teams here going 8-4, but
That's what
it's I was scared to just upset here, upset there. Somebody's got to stand out from the rest, but I think I kind of made a point of where I think some of these teams sit. I kind of like this standings for me looks like a tier list more than it does an actual standings. But yeah, I think A&M is going to be good this year, like really good, just
yeah,
based
they're
on the
my
offseason and the guys the guys that stayed. Like I believe in Mike Elko, and he has a really good roster on hand.
yeah. No, they're my number six as well. I have A&M at number six too. I have them going 8-4 also. They're my last 8-4 team. I think the swing game for them is going to be the Notre Dame game early in the season. Like if they can beat Notre Dame, then they realistically have a good chance to make the college football playoff, in my opinion. I have them losing that game though. I have them losing to LSU, that game against Notre Dame. I have them losing to Texas and South Carolina. So they have chances. They're going to have chances this year. They are going to I think they're going to get some wins against some really good teams, but I think they have to be 9-3, of course, to have a like really realistic chance to be in that playoff contention. I think Marcel Reed is cool. I have some questions about him as a thrower. I think that he is a great runner of the ball, but as a passer, I still think there are questions to be answered. Love their receiver pickups in the portal. Conception from NC State, like you said, Mario Craver was my guy last year from Mississippi State. I hated that we lost him in the portal. I think he's going to be really good at Texas A&M. And it feels like they always seem to reload with the front seven on defense, especially. They won't be as good, especially in the front four, as they were last season, but they'll still be a good group. They always seem to be at Texas A&M. And so I expect Texas A&M to be a good SEC team this next year. I do think that they will go 8-4 and just miss the playoff as well.
Yeah, A&M is going to be. I think they have a chance. I was a little conservative with them having a mate and four, but they have a chance to win, 10 games, like I said about Florida. This is where at number 5, I'm going to transition into it because this is where I have OU again, 8-4. I'm sorry, okay, 8-4. Uh, I was very vanilla with this standing stuff, but yeah, OU, I think I agree with everything that you said about him. I'm a believer in Brent Venables. I think he's going to have them, good like as early as this season. John Mateer is the truth. Everything you heard about John Mateer, I believe in. I think John Mateer is a great runner of the football. He reminds me of, this is a crazy comparison, but he's similar to like Josh Allen, the way he runs. He's just huge. Like he's just huge. And he's like, He had like I think about he sat at about 15 rushing touchdowns last year. Again, Washington State had a weird schedule. They had mostly Mountain West competition. This year they're playing Oregon State twice. I know.
What?
Yeah, they have a home and home with Oregon State in the same
What?
year.
What in the
Yeah.
world?
But let me look here at John Mateer from last season. I know he had a ton of rushing touchdowns this last season. Um, not near Bryson Daly production, but
It's just weird.
uh,
I feel like I didn't see him at all last season, and he just like
because he
re
played for Washington State. That's
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Um, he had 15 rushing touchdowns last year and 826 yards on the ground. Um, he's a real he's a real dual threat quarterback, and I think he's that like this OU offense is going to be unbelievably productive this season. Um, yeah, I'm a believer in John Mateer. I know mostly Mountain West competition last year, but Washington State didn't really have a good team. He didn't really working with much, even though they did win 8 games. I just think they bring in Jay Knott from Cal too. They bring in Kendall Daniels at linebacker. Like they did lose a lot of guys on defense. Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, um, Nick Anderson also on offense. He's gone to LSU. But I think the transfer class that they got, number 12 in the nation, they bring back 12 starters. They bring in John Mateer at quarterback, Jaden Knott at running back. Their backfield is going to be unreal. This OU running game, catch an OU game if you can. OU is going to be really fun to watch. Um, number 10 class in the SEC, number 17 in the nation. OU is going to be fun to watch. I also think they're going to be pretty decent. Their defense probably not going to be as great or as good as it was last year. Their defense was the only good thing about that team last year, but I don't think it's going to be good this season. 8-4. OU is going to be pretty decent. I'm a believer in John Mateer.
Oh man. Okay. Number five. This is my first 9-3 team, and it's going to be a very interesting season for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I have Alabama at number five. I think that they go 9-3. I had them losing to South Carolina. I had them losing to South Carolina. I have them losing at Georgia. And that last game of the season, I have them losing to Auburn. I think it could be a very similar situation to last year, where Alabama just barely misses the playoff after a late season loss that they were not supposed to have. I think they'll be a really good team outside of that. I have them beating LSU. I have them beating LSU this year at home. I think that'll be their signature win. It's going to be interesting though at the quarterback position. We've seen Ty Simpson be slotted in there before as the quarterback. It hasn't really worked, and he's going to be the number one option going into this next season. Or so we hear. I know they have
Keelan
what's
Russell.
Keelan Russell, yeah, that's their young guy who's coming up. We'll see what Kalen DeBoer decides to do if Ty Simpson does not produce to the level that he hopes he can. Ryan Williams, of course, we know the outstanding receiver. I think he has another really big year. I think Alabama has a really good secondary. I think they have one of the best secondaries in the SEC. Um, Alabama's going to be a really fun team. They're going to have some really big opportunities once again this year. I think they barely miss it again. I think they barely miss it again this year. And it's going to be that Iron Bowl game and the head-to-head loss that I have on their schedule against South Carolina that are going to ultimately lead to them missing the playoff for the second straight season.
I don't hate it. I don't think Alabama is, clear cut number one in the SEC anymore. It's just they did have, some questions at quarterback with Saban for a few years, AJ McCarron. Um, what was his name? Jake Coker. Like they won a national championship with Jake Coker at quarterback, brother. Um, but they don't have a Derrick Henry. They have a Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is really good, but I don't think they have just this unbelievably complete roster where having Jake Coker at quarterback just doesn't matter. I'll get to them when I get to them. But at number four, I said my number five was OU. At number four, this is where I have Georgia at 10-2. Being number four in your conference is like, dang it. But like Georgia at 10-2, they just lost a lot of people, man. Gunnar Stockton is going to be the starting quarterback this year, is what it looks like. Um, he had a little bit of flashes with the snaps that he got. He was just thrown in the SEC championship. Didn't do amazing. He got murdered that one play. Um, but I don't know. Georgia's obviously it's going to be a good team. I have them winning 10 games in the SEC, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to like. I think 10-2 Georgia makes the playoff, but I don't think they're going to be in the SEC title game this year. I think they have like not a ton of questions, but I think the question at quarterback is Gunnar Stockton going to be pretty decent. Like if he can be any better than Carson Beck was last year, Carson Beck was pretty terrible.
It was
Um,
rough.
he was pretty bad last year, just launching interceptions. Um, if that's the bar, I don't think like can't really do worse than that. But I just think they lost a lot of key pieces last year, like a lot, like Georgia does every year. But they did lose a lot of guys this year. They only returned 7 starters from last season. They bring in 10 transfers, number 22 transfer class in the country. They did bring in the number 2 class in the nation. They're always going to recruit well. Like Georgia in the offseason did what Georgia normally does. I'm just like, I don't know. I right now it's the same thing with Austin Simmons. We haven't seen it yet from Gunnar Stockton. Like he did have a half in the SEC championship game, but he wasn't that impressive. And it's like, what do you want him to do? He played Texas. Like I get it, right? I get it. There's a reason he didn't play good, but that's all we have from him. I can only go off of what I see. I think Gunnar Stockton is a good athlete. He has, you know, the tools to be a good quarterback, especially with the supporting cast of Georgia. I don't know. I just think 10 wins. I think 10 wins for Georgia this year is fair. I have them losing to Alabama as well at home.
Interesting.
Uh,
Wow.
2 years in a row losing to Alabama. Yeah, I don't know. Georgia, it's like you can't really say much about them because they do what they do. They reload, they lose a lot of guys in the draft, lose 10, 12 at least to the draft, bring in a lot of guys, and especially in high school. Um, Decent amount in the portal this year. It's just, the Gunnar Stockton question, is he going to be a great quarterback? And, you know, always a decent schedule. Do they beat Florida this year? I think there's a high chance that they lose to Florida
I
this
have
year.
them losing. I have
They
them losing.
they they have Texas on the schedule this year. Again, I have them losing to Texas. I have them losing to Alabama. Those are my 2 losses for them. Both home games, ironically, but that is huge for them having both of those games at home. But I have them losing those games. They could lose to Tennessee. Probably not going to happen, but they could. It's in Knoxville. They don't have a lot of tough road games this year at all. They have the Auburn game and Tennessee and Florida, which is a neutral site, but I don't know. I think 10 wins is fair for Georgia, depending on how well Gunnar Stockton plays. I think they could, win 12 and go undefeated. I think there's a chance that they do that. But like Texas, Alabama on the schedule, Auburn's decent this year. Ole Miss is good. Florida, Georgia Tech, even maybe on the last game of the year. Like Georgia Tech's not a terrible team at all, and they went to 8 overtimes with them last year. So I don't know. I think 10 wins for Georgia is fair. Again, question at quarterback with Gunnar Stockton. I don't think he's gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna be bad, but is he like gonna be a top tier quarterback in the SEC? So are we on number 3 now?
I gotta give my number four.
Oh, right,
I'll
right, right.
I'll go quick since you've already mentioned this team. This is where I have South Carolina. I have South Carolina at number four.
Nice. I was wondering who you hadn't said yet.
Yeah, I couldn't go any higher than four. I do have them winning that game against Alabama, and I think they'll be the last at-large team in the playoff this season. I think South Carolina will crack the playoff at 9-3. I think they lose at LSU. at Ole Miss. I have them losing to Clemson, but I think they beat Alabama, and I think they win at Texas A&M as well, which are two of their quality wins that get them over the hump into the playoff. Like you said, I just think Lenore Sellers is going to be a Heisman contender, like a realistic Heisman contender this year. You talk about the guys they lost on defense. That does, raise some concerns for me, but I still think they'll be solid defensively. I think that South Carolina, this is their real chance. This is their real chance to really make a playoff push. They're highly ranked going into the season. I think they're number 13 going into the season. So they are going to have chances this year. I think if they can win some of these marquee games, it will be their year. So I've got South Carolina barely sliding into that last slot in the playoff at 9-3. They're my number 4 team in the SEC.
I don't hate it, man. I don't hate it. I was really conservative with having like 8 teams at 8-4. It basically my standings look like a tier list where teams are in groups, but I don't hate it. I think South Carolina is a good football team, and I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Let me go first on my number 3 because this is where I have Georgia. I have Georgia at my
Okay.
number 3. I have them going 10-2 as well. I have them losing that game to Florida. And
Wow.
I have
Wow.
them
Go
I have
ahead.
them
Sorry.
I have them losing at home to Texas. I think they beat Alabama, but I have them losing that game to Texas. Yeah, I just have no idea what to expect from Gunnar Stockton. I don't know what he is really about. We saw him at the end of last season, but what can he really provide? And in that Georgia system, you don't have to be just an outstanding quarterback. We saw that with Stetson Bennett. He was a good quarterback, but he wasn't like the Heisman candidate or anything. So can Gunnar Stockton just suffice at the quarterback position? We know Georgia's
Fourth
run.
round pick Stetson Bennett, by the way.
Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff.
Fourth round pick.
But we know the running game is always going to be good for Georgia. Their defense is going to always be their calling card. And although, they lose guys to the draft every single season, they reload every single year. I really like some of the guys they still have, especially on that back line. But yeah, I just never expect a Kirby Smith team or a Kirby Smart team to be below 10-2 at this point. And if they are, it's like a shot. So even with all of the turnover they have, I think 10-2 is a realistic mark for them, making the playoff again, but like you said, not competing in the SEC championship game.
I don't hate it. At my number 3, already talked about this team. Is where I have Alabama. Their biggest question also, obviously, the quarterback room for them. Ty Simpson. I haven't really been impressed with the snaps that he's gotten so far in his career. Tennessee guy. We love him, but I think he went to Martin, right?
Yep.
Cool guy. I just hadn't been impressed with the snaps that he's gotten so far. They did lose a lot of guys to the draft. This is the same thing with Georgia, Alabama. They're going to lose a lot of guys to the draft. It's just how they're an NFL factory. That's just what they are now. Um, they lose guys like Tyler Booker, Jahad Campbell, Jalen Milrow, all huge contributors. Last Jahad Campbell was hurt, but huge contributors last season. Most of them. They did bring in guys like we said, like Keelan Russell. The high school guy. They bring in guys like Isaiah Horton, receiver, Cam Dewberry on the offensive line, Brody Dalton at tight end. Um, they're going to get high school guys. They got the number 3 class in the entire country. They did bring in a decent transfer class at number 21, but they also brought back a decent amount of starters. It's the it's the quarterback situation. Like I have them going 10-2. Like for Alabama standards, that's probably a bad year. But last year they went 9-4 and lost the bowl game. So I don't know. Last year, I think by Alabama standards, was a bad season for them, ending on such a sour note, getting whooped by Oklahoma second to last game of the year and losing to Michigan in the bowl game. Kalen DeBoer obviously doesn't want to replicate that this season. His first season last year was very reminiscent of Urban Meyer's first season in Florida, going 9-3. And he, gets the presser and it's like 9-3 is not good enough in the SEC. 3 SEC losses is just not good enough. Um, Especially for a team like the prestige of Florida and the prestige of Alabama. It's just not going to cut it. So, yeah, 10-2 this season, 2 SEC losses. I have them losing to uh who did I have them losing to? Sorry. South Carolina and Auburn. So, 2 tough road games for them this season. I have them beating Georgia, Florida State, Wisconsin, LSU this season. I have them beating.
Wow.
Um, I have them winning some tough games. Um, but 10-2, barely missing out on the SEC title game. Um, tiebreaker with one of the teams I have above them. But yeah, barely missing out. I think a 10-2 Alabama does make the playoff still. But yeah, our top
It, it,
two SEC
it would,
title game.
hmm.
I did not think we were gonna have the same two teams here. I really didn't.
I didn't think so either. I thought that one of the teams we would, but I'll just go ahead and say I didn't think we would both have LSU here. I didn't think we would both have LSU in
I
the
did.
top
I
10.
did. I didn't either. I thought LSU was kind of being slept on a little bit. They're ranked in the top 10 preseason, is what it looks like, and the coaches poll at least. Um, but I don't think most people are like, yeah, LSU is it this year. I think LSU is it this year.
I do too.
LSU is they're not bringing it back a ton of production from last season, but they're bringing back Garrett Nussmeier at starting quarterback. He was a good starter last year. They're bringing in hitters on the receiver position and Nick Anderson, Barry and Brown, Mansour Delane in the back end on defense. But they're bringing in the number one transfer class in the entire country, um, and bringing in guys from high school like Solomon Thomas on the offensive line, DJ Pickett, Harlem Berry. I loved LSU's offseason this year, and I love the guys that they kept. Garrett Nussmeier, obviously, at quarterback. They're bringing in Nick Anderson, Barry, and Brown at receiver. I like LSU, man. I think they win 11 games. I have them being number one in the SEC. Their only loss, I have them being to Alabama. I have them beating Clemson in week one, beating Florida, beating Ole Miss, beating South Carolina, beating A&M, beating Oklahoma the last week of the season. I believe in LSU, and I also think if LSU doesn't make the playoff this year, I think Brian Kelly's out.
Wow.
I do think that is a realistic possibility because what did Brian Kelly do? What was Brian Kelly trying to accomplish leaving Notre Dame, coming to LSU? The winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He leaves. He doesn't get fired. He leaves on his own accord to go to LSU. He thinks LSU is a better program to win in. We're better. Like he has more of a chance to have success at LSU, and he like back to back 9 win seasons for him. It's not bad, but you left LSU. You left to go to LSU for a reason, and LSU knows that. They hired him for a reason, and I think if he doesn't deliver and make, they playoffs are nothing for LSU this year. I obviously have them. I probably will have them winning the SEC, going 12-1, but that's probably a one seed in the playoff, depending on the field. But I think this roster has what it takes to get it done, and I think Brian Kelly, he is a winning coach, not necessarily down to like the final game. He hasn't won a playoff game in his career yet, but I think this is a prove it year for Brian Kelly. This is like, all right, we hired you here for a reason. You got to make the playoffs, and I think he really has no excuse not to make the playoffs with this team. They do have a
I know.
crazy schedule: A&M, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, Clemson, Alabama, OU the last week of the season. Crazy schedule. I understand, but LSU is that good. I think LSU gets it done this year and wins the SEC, and that means I obviously have Texas at number two at 11-1. Um, I know I'm talking a lot here, but I'm kind of like flowing. Might as well talk about the next team. I
Go
have
on. Go ahead.
um, Texas's one loss being to Florida, a
Ooh.
little on brand. Uh, at at Gainesville at the Swamp, I do have them beating Ohio State. Um,
Wow.
yeah, Texas obviously, Sark has Texas back. Like Texas is back. Like they just are. Um, they went 13-3 last year. Made the Final Four of the playoffs. Returned 9 guys. bringing the number 23 transfer class from last season. Lost a lot of guys to the draft. They lost a lot of guys to the draft. Kelvin Banks, Jahdae Barron, Matthew Golden, Quinn Ewers. Now, I think Arch is going to open the season as the Heisman favorite, right?
Yeah.
I, I, I don't know. Like, I think he's going to be good, but I don't know from what I've seen. From what I've seen, he was cool, right? He was cool. I don't think he was just this unbelievable superstar that everybody's trying to make him out to be. At least right now, I can see it. I don't think this is Arch's last year at Texas. I think he stays this year and next year. And between now and then, that's two full seasons. I think he has a chance to become that. But as of right now, I don't see um, Arch as just this unbelievable superstar that just is going to kill everyone. Um, but I do think Texas is a really, really good football team. I think overall their roster is probably the best in the conference. And yeah, I have them finishing second in the league. They're obviously, I think, an 11 win Texas is a playoff lock. They also had the number one recruiting class in the entire country this past season or this past recruiting cycle. Texas is all the way back. I do think they have a real chance to win the national championship this year. Um, Obviously, depending on how Arch plays, I do think a big part of their success is depending on how Arch plays because I think their roster this year is really, really good. Ryan Wingo is a tremendous receiver. I'm a believer in him. He's really good. Um,
You have you have Texas and LSU both winning road games week one at Ohio State and at Clemson. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for shafting Clemson a little bit because I have them losing to South Carolina and LSU. I think Clemson is really good this year with Cade Klubnik coming back for his senior season, um, which I was surprised by. But
I have LSU losing to Clemson. I'll go ahead and say I have LSU at number two and I had Texas at one. I have LSU going 10-2, um, losing at Clemson, and I have them losing at Alabama as well. And I have Texas losing that first game to Ohio State. So I have both of those two teams losing their first week one games on the road. But I have Texas being perfect after that. I think yeah, everything you said, I think Texas, in terms of Texas, I think they're the deepest team in the SEC, the best team in the SEC. I'm a Arch Manning believer. I love their backfield, CJ Baxter, Quintrevon Weisner. I think that's a great running back duo. Anthony Hill, I think, is the best defensive player in the SEC. I think Malik Muhammad on the back end is a really good cornerback to lead that group. I got Texas being the number one seed in the SEC. I've got LSU at number two. Just absolutely love their team this year. This is the year, like you said, this is the year Brian Kelly has to do it. He has to do it this year. Absolutely has to.
I think if they miss the playoffs, I think he's gone. I just think that's what it is. And I think where you're saying like, oh, he's two 9-win seasons up or 9-win seasons up to this point. I think they won 10 games, 23, 10 wins, 9 wins last year, and then um they're probably going to win 9, 10 games around like this year. How could you call that a failure? You got Brian Kelly. He's the all-time winning coach in Notre Dame history. Think about how prestigious Notre Dame is as a football program, and then he comes in and he takes over LSU with the sole goal, obviously, winning a national championship. When he got hired, I said probably within 3 to 5 years, LSU is going to be in or win a national championship with him at the head coach. This is year three. So I think, this is the year to deliver. But it's like, you know, give him time, give him but it's Brian Kelly. He's proven it and he's in a program like LSU. And this is the year to do it.
No
This
doubt.
is this is the year to do it.
No doubt.
A lot to talk about. This is the deepest conference in college football. I think the Big Ten probably has a case for it. Um, Maybe we'll do the Big Ten next week. Who knows? Um, but yeah, that is the end of this episode, guys. We appreciate you guys watching, listening. Again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss an episode whenever I drop one. Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts, leave us 5 stars. review, whatever. Get us to the top of the charts, whatever you got to do. I like. I'm being a little transparent here, but I promise, I'm gonna have weekly episodes for y'all during the season. This is my favorite part of the year, and I'm gonna want to talk about it, um, regardless if I have a guest or not. So yeah, I will have episodes for y'all weekly during the season. Um, didn't have it last year. I'm gonna have it for y'all this year. I just, I love this too much to just not do it 2 years in a row, regardless of the circumstances. So, I appreciate y'all being patient with me. I appreciate y'all still watching. If y'all are even after everything that's happening over all this time. So I really do appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and I appreciate Elijah coming on. This was really really fun.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and I will see you guys next time.